Otherwise on SAFM.
My guest, Edzai Zvobwo. Edzai, welcome to Otherwise.
Thank you, Shadow. How are you?
I'm good, and I'm just hoping that I didn't butcher your name and surname, Zvobwo.
You got it correctly. You pronounce it like a Russian, actually, so that's really good.
How is it supposed to be pronounced?
Zvobwo.
Zvobwo.
Zvobwo, yes.
Oh, fantastic. Listen, I'm excited to be talking to you because I've had this thing about maths for as long as I remember. Mathematics has been something that one shies away from, something that and it catches up with you because as a mother, you're now faced with the challenge of explaining things to your children, and one is unable to. What is it about maths that gets us also so helpless?
Yeah, with maths, I think the problem is that there have been generations and generations of people who have propagated the fact that math is difficult. So that belief is actually ingrained in a lot of people, in the majority of people actually. And then the nature of math itself, I think, should be repackaged altogether because it's not serving people the way it's supposed to. I think it's presented in a very abstract manner, of which that is not how the brain is wired to function, on a natural wavelength. So I think policymakers across the world, actually not just in South Africa, should have a real look at how maths can be made to be functional in society. I know, like in Estonia, in Finland, in Japan, they've had so better strides in actually addressing this issue, where they attack maths from a problem-solving perspective, where it's not just about the calculation 1 + 1 = 2, but it's more about application, problem-solving frameworks, thinking methodology. That's the most important thing.
And they solve problems when actually maths is the problem, as we said, because that's the approach I have. Mathematics is the problem. Somebody doesn't want us to get it somewhere, and then children come back or adults as well and say, look, I don't utilize maths in my life. I will never need it in my life, and yet. I want to believe that mathematics would make our lives easier.
Yes, the thing is, the way that math is being taught in schools doesn't do it justice as well, because you find that you use maths at any point in your life. Like today, when you told me that we're going to have this call at this time, you actually did math to say, okay, if I'm coming from home, I will need 50 minutes, so I have to travel at that speed. All those, you're actually using maths, but you're using it passively. So if only we could acknowledge that everything that we do, everywhere we go, there's a lot of mathematics, but we just need to be conscious of it. And if teachers did a better job at actually showing the kids the utility value of maths every step of the way, then I think it wouldn't be such a monster, Yes.
But I want to know from you, Edzai, how did you become the boffin that you are? I mean, you're a high-achieving maths teacher, and I suppose you use maths as part of your motivational speaking. And, you've done some amazing, you've written the book and you've done some amazing things. I mean, your BSc Honors in Applied Mathematics, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
You don't do that.
The thing is, I can tell you that from my grade 1 up to about 6, I wasn't really good in math. I actually hated it. But I was fortunate to have a really good teacher in grade 6 who actually did like a lot of positive reinforcement and made me believe in myself. And from there, I've never stopped actually. So I've had a number of people that have actually testified to the same thing, that they just needed the right environment for them to flourish in maths. So
you mentioned the right teacher though.
Yes, right teacher. Yes, definitely.
Not the environment per se, but the right teacher, I suppose, will create the right environment.
It's a trigger. It's a trigger. So obviously, if the right teacher is there, then you need that complementary environment at home as well, because you find that even if the teacher is as positive as possible, and at home a different message is being said, then that's a conflict of messaging, of which if there's some consistency, then it's the chances, the probability of a child actually improving in maths is greater. Because we find, there are a lot of things that we say as parents and don't realize that they affect, our children, where we're saying, oh, maths, I was never good at maths. So already you're sending to the child that, it's socially acceptable not to be good enough in maths. If you bring a 30% home, it's okay because it's maths, So, so it's about the messaging,
So I'm trying to get from you, Edzai, that, you're unleashing the mathematical genius in all of us now and our children. We're being invited to this thing on the 30th of August. But where do we begin? I mean, I've been told to play chess, and I'm a good chess player, but I still don't understand much. It doesn't make me have a better approach to a mathematical kind of challenge. So I want to know, how are you suggesting to unleash this genius in all of us?
Okay, so it all begins with the messaging, right? To say, let us all have a positive outlook towards maths, right? Our attitudes, that's the first and foremost thing, because a lot of kids are going into the classroom already defeated because they know that, or they've been told that maths is difficult. So the first thing is attitude change. Okay. That's the first and foremost thing, and the biggest driver towards success, actually. Then, secondly, if you're a mother and you're not mathematically proficient, then all you can do is be a support system. Instead of just asking, have you done homework? You can dive deeper into what your child is doing and ask. So I've got a framework of questions that is informed by scientifically proven mathematical frameworks where you can ask questions, probing questions. In that way, if you do it consistently, you can channel your child to think in a certain way.
Okay, give me one of those questions, just one.
Okay, so I'll give you the background to the questions. Okay, there are 4 steps, very high-level steps in problem solving. The first one is understanding the problem. A lot of people don't understand problems. They just solve things they don't even understand. And then the second one is to devise a plan, right? Devise a plan, that is, which formula am I going to use based on my understanding of the problem? And then you carry out the plan. And then the fourth thing is to evaluate. So now, in understanding the problem, that is where you ask a lot of questions, right? Even say a word problem, it's important that you paraphrase it and you bring it to your reality so that at least it has meaning to you, because it might not have meaning to you. Like if I say x plus 2 equals to 5. For me, that's a mathematical sentence. It's meaningless. But then, if in your reality you sell oranges, right? If I say, I've got some oranges, I take 2 more, and now I have 5. Okay. You see, you can relate to it, right?
Already I know the oranges are 3.
Yes, already. You see now. But maybe if it was just the x, and you're thinking in terms of the x, and it was outside of your reality, you wouldn't have understood. Now, as a parent, that's when you're going to ask, what does the question require? What is the objective of the question? And the objective is to get the unknown, the x. What are you given? How are you going to do it? How are you, so you can channel your child to think in a certain way. You ask, those leading questions. I think you guys as journalists would be really good at that,
Do you know?
Journalists ask, the weather is very good. What do you think? Already they've answered the question already, kind of thing, yeah.
Do you know, so, I'm really excited. I really am. I'm honestly very excited because I think, we do have that barrier around mathematics. And just from that example you've given us of the 4 steps, I think one can also apply those 4 steps to everything we do in life on every day. because we do deal with a lot of problems that we don't understand on a daily basis. So
I'm telling you, Shadow, sorry, you know what? Some things that people toy about, actually, they can solve on their own. I'm telling you. I was reading about Malaysia. There's a small village where they were having service delivery issues, where there were no roads, the sewage system was bad, right? What they did the crowdsourced funding from among themselves. And then once they got the money, they fixed whatever needed to be fixed in their community, went with the bill to government, but government paid them the money. Wow. The money they got was a lump sum. So what they did was, instead of giving back, distributing back the money to the people, they actually formed a company, a community company. And the community members actually got employed in the company. So can you see? They solved the self-service delivery, and they created employment just with one initiative.
Yeah, they devised a plan and they carried it out, and now they evaluated it. I really want to know, is this book as easy, the book that you've written, is it easy to translate into the kind of conversation we are having right now? Because sometimes when you get to books, then it's also written in a mathematical language that defeats the purpose, and we don't understand still.
I try to write it in such a way that a grade 6 child would be able to read it. So it's written in plain English. It's like a conversation. It's very, very easy to read, and anyone, mathematical or non-mathematical, will be able to read it with ease. Yes, that's the feedback I'm getting right now.
Is this the mathematical genius in you? That's
yes,
the
that's
book
the one. Yes, that's the one.
And it can be used by both parents and children.
Yes, parents and children. Anyone doing any mathematical subject, any numerical subject, it will work. And anyone who just wants to know how to solve problems, whether mathematical or non-mathematical. So it's very easy. I wrote it. I don't want to say dumbed it down, but I simplified it.
Please say dumb it down, because you need to do that for me. You need to dumb it down for me, and I'd rather it was dumbed down and you know.
Simplified.
But now, how do we overcome the hurdle of the teacher? Because I've often said to young people, forget about the teacher. And you mentioned teacher earlier, and this is why I'm bringing it back. The teacher has the knowledge, so try and be a sponge and absorb that knowledge, regardless of what the teacher is like. How do we approach the teacher-pupil relationship that sometimes becomes the hurdle?
You know, with the teacher problem, it's so rife to an extent whereby it will take government intervention. Not just government intervention, because that's at a macro scale. It will take even individual schools and individual maths departments to change the way that they teach maths. Because you find, recently, about 2 months back, I was in Mamelodi, and there was a school where I just went to observe. And the teacher wasn't very gifted in terms of number of methods that he knew. So it was my method or no method. And that is limiting because, you know, every individual thinks in a certain way that is not necessarily the same. You know, we could be looking at the same thing, but we think differently. So teachers should be able to accommodate creative problem solving from kids as long as they're obeying the laws of maths, whether they draw a picture or they go left then right, or, you know, whatever method they use, the teacher should be able to appreciate it. But now that is what's killing kids, because they'll be enthusiastic. I mean, if you want to do an experiment, go into a grade 1 class, right? And say, who loves maths? Everyone will raise their hand. They'll be happy. They'll be what? But then those same kids go back 3-4 years later. You might not find anyone saying they love maths because the teacher has killed their enthusiasm through this narrow vision of what mathematics is, you know? So that creativity should be embedded in mathematics education, and that is something that is fundamental. That's why you find kids in Japan can actually reverse engineer an iPhone because they are exposed to, you know, to problem solving methodologies which they internalize and then customize according to what their needs are at that particular moment in time, you know. So yeah.
Edzai, so does maths literacy assist us in any way as opposed to the real thing?
No, maths literacy, to me, it's a joke. I mean, I taught that thing for a year, and it doesn't add value to anyone. Its objective, I assume, that it was supposed to be an application of maths in real life, but then it wasn't supposed to be dumped down, because now they took away all the theoretical stuff in maths, and it's not rigorous anymore. So it means that it's not adding value to anyone to be able to pursue any meaningful career, It's the everyday commerce maths that you do that you don't even need to go to school for, that they're teaching in maths lit. So that is not the best option. I have always advocated for a situation whereby they take the core maths, the pure maths, right, and maths lit, and they merge them together. The philosophy of maths lit, the application side, and the theoretical side, they put them together such that they're not compromising on the quality, but at the same time, they're venturing into the application of the subject. Because the kids that are doing pure maths, if you ask them where do you use those equations, they don't know, So there has to be some merging of some sort, and that is what I've always advocated for.
Who's listening to you, Edzai? Is anyone listening to you?
No one is, not anyone, yeah?
I mean, how do we get somebody to listen to you and give advice at that level?
Yes, that would be great. If I can actually have an audience, with higher people who are placed higher in the offices there, that would be great. And I hope you are a conduit to that.
Listen, because I think there's a guy called Panyaza Lesufi who is serious about education, and I think maybe you should try and meet him.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, I've met him once, but it was I was a guest of honor at that ceremony, and I was just giving my motivational talks, and he was pretty impressed, but we never engaged after that. I think it would be worthwhile for us to actually, Well, let's find
a way to get you together, because you mentioned some amazing things here, and I'm thinking of how you've said that even our service delivery could be turned around if we understood mathematics, and just life in general for the whole continent.
Yes.
Or for the whole continent could be turned around, because I think that's what the continent needs. We need to think creatively, around problem solving and work together like that.
No, true. Because nowadays the buzzwords, social entrepreneurship, all that, and it's just solving problems, looking for a problem in your community and solving it. That's all there is to it, eh? And if you've got the problem-solving skills, then what can stop you,
Okay, so, now tell me, unleash the mathematical genius in you or your child on the 30th of August. What's going to happen there?
So there, we are trying to give parents, math tools and techniques to be able to help their children succeed in maths. Because a lot of parents have been emailing me, asking me, what do I do? How do I go about it? Because the advantage of parents having techniques, there's a cost implication to that. Instead of, first of all, going to a tutor, you can try it on your own. There's so many tools online that you can use, So at least if you are enlightened as to how you support, you can do a DIY, and then if all else fails, then you can go to a tutor instead of paying school fees at school plus a tutor unnecessarily,
Which all of us are doing for maths lit, Nochal, not even for maths.
Not even for maths.
Now listen, I want you cloned. I want you everywhere. That's all we have time for today, but I must tell you that I am going to be in touch with you. One thing we are going to do, and I'm going to propose that you say yes to, and I'm doing it publicly.
Okay.
Is that at least once a month, and towards the exam time, you visit us. You visit us often, and maybe let's take 1 or 2 lessons on air. How's that for parents?
Oh, okay. No, that's a good idea.
For parents, eh? So we'll do that. But I hope, and we can visit your website, eh?
Yes. And on the website, there's a Maths Q&A where people can actually go in. They can put maths videos, they can upload, they can put question papers. It's just a question and answer. So the whole idea is that it's supposed to be a self-driven thing where people ask questions and fellow community members actually answer as well, and we moderate, So that's a tool that's free and anyone can use it. And I believe that if we employ something, okay, I've got a term of mine as well that I like using as well. It's called individual social responsibility, where we've got so many engineers, so many accountants, so many people who are not involved in any way in education, who've got a component of maths that they can help someone with. So instead of waiting for Mandela Day to spend 6 to 7 minutes, painting a wall, why not spend 6 to 7 minutes every week teaching some kids somewhere in your community mathematics? To me, that is real value.
I love you so much right now. Thank you so much for talking to me, and we will be in touch. I promise you we will be in touch. And all the best, Edzai. Hey?
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. You take care. Oh, my goodness.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Just love him. Edzai Zvobwo. And he's the author of Mathematical Genius in You and founder of the MathsGenius website. And it's www.mathsgenius.co.za.
Otherwise, on SAFM.
Now it gives me great pleasure to be talking to a young aeronautical engineer, Lumka Msibi, who is from Soweto. That's what they write about her. Meet Lumka Msibi, a 24-year-old female aeronautical engineer from Soweto, who has just come back from an expedition in Antarctica. Now, for most people, the idea that you could volunteer to go to one of the coldest places on Earth seems improbable, but not for aeronautical engineer for Denel Space Tech, Lumka Msibi. Lumka